Ready? Okay, finally feels like Eastern North Carolina again. A little humidity back out there. Last week it felt like straight November, December, nice cool weather, and back at it this morning. And it was good for our guys to be under that and have a practice in those situations. And obviously, we need a few warm days to kind of make sure we're ready to go. And could obviously be warm on August 28th or anytime in September. So I do want to give a shout out to the men working on the indoor. If you guys haven't seen it, they made tremendous progress. Just all the dirt they're moving around, and those men are out there, and see them out there working at 7 a.m., 7:30 at night, all times, and just going at it, and then just excitement to see that thing moving and progressing forward. Sometimes things you don't really get too excited about them until they start moving along, and that's certainly moving along, and I'm sure this fall we'll see some structures going up, but excited about that. Practice-wise, I didn't think we had the best day yesterday. I thought the energy was much better today. Got a little chippy on both sides, but I'll take that. I told the guys we want to play with edge. We want to play the game right way. Obviously, we can't take it over the line, but we want to play the game the right way. Didn't we think we had that in practice yesterday? We picked it up a little bit today. Still got a long ways to go. We'll get a really good work day in tomorrow with some situational football. Thursday, we'll slow it down just a tad, and then Friday, go at it one more time before we end camp here. So that's kind of where we're at for the week and kind of the outlook of the week moving forward.
You kind of hit on it, but it felt like the urgency. You could almost feel, maybe it's just you on the mic, I don't know. How much did you enjoy that, and could you feel the urgency pick up with your staff?
I told Coach Shankweiler if we had our practice field was a little bit more isolated, I'd be on that mic a little bit more, and players probably wouldn't like it. But, no, I thought just everything we do, it's human nature. If you're not pressing forward just to kind of ease back, that's coaches, that's staff, that's players. I mean, anytime we think we can just, and it's in our personal lives. Hey, we're just trying to get to the weekend so we can go enjoy the weekend. I had an elementary school teacher tell me one time, if you're only excited about the weekend, you're going to miss 5/7 of your life. You're going to miss every day of the week. We can't let that happen. If we're not attacking every day with urgency, intent, and purpose, our opponent is, and they're getting better, and we're getting worse. You don't stay the same. So I thought the urgency and intent was much better today than it was yesterday, and it's even got to go up. And we can't let it slide back. I told our coaches it's 4th and 1. And this is probably the toughest week we got. It's week 3 of camp. It's day, 14 or so, 15 practice, whatever it is. And you can have a little slide. But we got to keep our foot on the gas. It's got to treat it like 4th and 1. And we still got to go at it. And I thought they did a much better job of that today. And I think we'll do a good job of that tomorrow.
What have you seen improve the most from day one to now?
There's several things. And, I think those receivers doing a really good job catching the football out there. Those running backs are showing you they got some depth. The O-line, you've seen a little leadership there. The defense seems to have a little bit more urgency today and intent than they did a few days ago. And I think we got to find ways to play to our strengths too, on both sides of the football, and making sure we're putting those guys in a position where it plays their strengths and they can be successful. So some of that you learn there in camp of like, hey, what you can and can't do, and what's going to be your best calls, and who you got to put in situations to make plays. So those are all things I think we're moving in the right direction. And but as that countdown clock in there keeps rolling, it don't ever stop. I think we're 16 days away, and that thing just keeps going. So and I think we're buying more time. So we better push forward and keep pressing.
When it comes to solidifying travel squad and depth chart, is that something you guys just step after this weekend? What are y'all really planning on that?
Yeah, you're starting to kind of hone in on some special teams. It's not, 4 deep on a certain kickoff team. You're kind of getting down at the guys you think might travel. So you kind of have some, your top spots kind of pretty much solidified, but you got some at the bottom of the roster of guys that may not make the travel squad. And I told them, yesterday, there's two things. Like, one, you better realize everybody does not travel. And we got some guys out there, I don't think they do realize it, because their urgency isn't quite there yet. And they better get with it, or they're going to be sitting at the house and watching it on TV instead of being in the stadium and getting to be a part of it. And two, there's some guys over there that at some point they got to get off the bicycle too and show that they can be practiced, they can play college football, and they belong here. I told them if they don't, like, hey, I owe it to the guys that make sure we have guys here that can help us win football games. So just trying to send those guys a message every single day and let them know that we ain't around here just to cruise. Life's not about that. Our program's not about that. We got to push forward and everything. And it's got to be all 120 guys out there and every staff member in the building. So, and that's just who we got to be, how we got to play the game, and it's in all aspects of our program.
You go from one scrimmage last week to another one this week. Are you kind of treating it a little bit like a game week?
Yeah.
Because the film room and all those things.
You have to. Like, how many times do you get to practice a game week before game one? And, going into scrimmage one, it's really like, hey, see where we're at. Just go out there and put the ball down, let's play. Going into scrimmage two, like we have a scrimmage at the end of this week, is you want to treat it like a game week. A Monday practice, Tuesday practice, Wednesday practice, day before a game, and then go play. And to our players as well. And even leading up to our little scrimmage is our same timing as the first ball game. That way we get used to it. That way we can roll up to Raleigh. It's not the first time we've had the pregame meal or the pregame warm up or all those things that you go through. So you want to rehearse that a little bit, and that way that when they get to August 28th, they're just focused on the game. They've been in that routine before, and they got a little routine to them. So we definitely focus on that. And from a preparation standpoint, I want both sides of the ball to kind of treat it like they're game planning each other up a little bit, and they do that every day in practice anyways. But you even hopefully get a little bit more of that. That way the players get in that mode and they get in that mentality about things to look for.
You guys, have a lot of specialists. Do you hone in on how many you'll travel there, and then also how's the punting competition?
Yeah, I think you got two really good punters, and Tommy and Ryan that are doing a good job, and starting to hit the ball well. And obviously Ryan's an older young man, I think going on in his 6th year, and played at Furman, played at Duke, and Tommy's playing in his 2nd year. And honestly never punted the football in a college football game. Obviously does a really good job in practice and got a really good leg. So those two are kind of, doing some good things, and we got to keep pushing forward. So he's going to win that competition. At kicker, the same thing. I think we got some guys, kind of out in front, but, was that going to remain the same through the week and through the season? I mean, just because you win the job in, preseason camp or week 1 doesn't mean you're going to be the starter in week 8. And we saw that obviously with our quarterback situation last year and how that changed the season for us. But so we got to keep pushing those guys. We'll continue to push them this week. And, obviously I think there's 9 or 10 specialists in that room, and not all those guys are going to be on the bus, and they got to realize that too. So I think Tristan O'Brien, doing a really good job at snapper, and probably be our snapper there.
How are you seeing the defensive line come along?
Yeah, I just told those guys last night and this afternoon or this morning after practice, we got a chance to start 4 seniors up front, and told those guys, like, you can't lead from the back. You got to go lead from the front, and that's really what we're pushing those guys to do. And we talked about put the ball down mentality and taking the field and all those things. You see a boxer go to the ring. He don't just kind of ease up to the ring to go to the match and to the fight. He goes charging to the ring. They're freaking running to the ring to take it on, and that's how we got to be defensively. That mindset. Put the ball down. We're going to meet you out there, and let's go at it. And let's get a stop and get the ball back to our offense. But we got to keep developing that mindset. When we lost some of those seniors last year, they had that confidence, they had that mindset. And we have some older guys right now that, hey, they got to get, grab it by the bull by the horns here and take it on and step up front and make sure they're leading with that mindset and taking the field and all those things.
Is there a position group, specifically you and your staff, are like, you really want to see them take a lead this week?
Yeah. To me, and maybe it's because that's my my background is the linebackers, and I think DJ Johnson did some good things today, but DJ, he's got to get over the last play that happened and on to the next play. He just he kind of loses his mind about the last play and telling everybody how good of a job he did. Well, you did your job. I just told him, you did your job. And you do your job, that's what you're supposed to do. Now move on to the next play and get ready to do it again. So he's doing really good, but we got to develop that mindset as us as coaches. But that's the position I see that's got to take the biggest leap this week. If they'll do that, I'll feel a lot better about where we are defensively. And we'll keep pushing them. And some of that's my background, and that's who I coached for the last probably a dozen years, and where it stands out the most to me.
Coach, Raheem Jeter just looks a lot more comfortable out there. How has bringing in Mike Wright kind of helped him maybe take a leap and push him a little bit harder?
Well, I think anytime you create some competition in that room, not only has Mike made Raheem better, Mike's made Caton better. But Raheem looks like a different player from the spring. He looks like a guy that can play here and play at East Carolina and play in this conference and doing a really good job. And just more confidence to him. Everything that seems like the game's slowing down. And sometimes, especially at certain positions, quarterback's one, linebacker might be another one. It takes a couple years for that switch to come on and flip, and you really get comfortable where you're at. And he seems to be doing a really good job and pushing Caton and doing those things right there. So proud of him.
Thoughts coming out of the first scrimmage and how you guys have responded in press since?
No, I was very pleased with it. really because it was such a point of emphasis going into the scrimmage for us of just playing with excitement, being excited to play. And, and I pointed at myself talking to the unit the day before was I'm the world's worst, because I tried to, have a business-like approach to a scrimmage. It's a practice. We're trying to get better, but at the same time, you need to, we have enough new guys on the unit to where they need to feel what it's like on game day. They need to feel that level of intensity. You can't get all the way there, but you can try and match it. And so that's what we tried to do, from an offensive staff standpoint and to our players, making sure that they were ready to go play and that it felt like a game as much as we could. And that was the thing I was most excited about. When we had success, this whole sideline is celebrating. We're running down the end zone and celebrating with our teammates. And so that was the thing I was most excited about, was just we responded in the right way. And I thought approached the scrimmage the right way.
On the offensive line, McCrimmon kind of stepped in last year mid-season. We knew he was talented, but where have you seen him make maybe the biggest growth since then, as far as being a little bit more experienced?
Yeah, I think just consistency, and he's a year more developed. In the weight room, physically he's stronger. He's able to do things in the run game that he just physically wasn't able to do a year ago. And he's tried to take on a leadership role, even being a third-year or redshirt sophomore. In today's college football world, if you are a third-year player in your program, you're a veteran. And so he's taken on some leadership stuff that I've been really proud of him about, and it's just, consistency, just like any other position. But, just really excited about him. And, we've used him as an example to a lot of other guys in the room of there's somebody sitting in that room that is going to play a lot of snaps that doesn't know it yet. And for McCrimmon, the first, I think, 5 games last year, he played 19 total snaps, 16 of them coming versus Norfolk State, and then ended up playing almost 600 snaps the rest of the way. And so just trying to make sure other guys in the room not only see his development, but see, there's going to be somebody in the room that's going to have that same type story this year.
How was Parker Jenkins fitting into the running back room?
Really good. And, Parker is he is one of those guys that's just ultra intelligent. He's back there coaching all the other running backs up. He's taken on a leadership role, even just being here for a short amount of time, and that's just because he's got playing experience. He started at Houston, did a great job there, and we're lucky and we're blessed to have him. He had a really good scrimmage the other day, popped a long run, which was exciting to see. But he does everything. He's getting better and better in pass pro, and for him, it's just learning to play physical all the time. You see that guy walk around. He's got tree trunks for legs, and just making sure he plays behind his pads all the time.
Going off that with the backs, were you guys early on try to script out series? How do you get, because you'll have talent, how do you try to develop who gets on the field all the time?
Yeah, it's what we got to later in the year a little bit, rotating guys, and it's not necessarily by series. It's, those guys, their job is to go as long as they can. And when it's time to get out and let the next guy go. And, that's our way of keeping them fresh in that room is having the ability to roll 3 guys. And, right now, we could roll 4 guys in a game. That gets a little hard because now you're taking touches away from some people that you don't really want to. But like you said, we're that talented in that room, and I feel good about our 3 guys that we can roll out there and spread out touches and keep those guys fresh throughout the game.
What have you seen improve the most since day one of fall camp till now?
I really am pleased with just how we're throwing and catching. That was one thing that I didn't feel great about this time last year. I just didn't feel like we were as crisp as we wanted to be, and there's timing issues, protection issues, and that's one thing that I think we've done a really good job of through camp is just protection. Those guys holding up front and allowing the quarterbacks to get to their second, get to the third reads, and those receivers are doing a good job of getting open. And so from day one to whatever we are now, I feel like we're in a good spot of just throwing and catching and being able, be efficient throwing the ball.
With Hodge and Did, obviously they're both spring enrollees, so they got to do a lot of spring ball. But I'm sure it was like drinking through a fire hose for those guys. Did they look more calm and cool and collected here in the fall?
Yeah, they do for sure. And they get all summer, which is huge because everything gets slowed down. And that's what I love about the summertime a little bit is, they get to get coached by those older guys. They have Raheem, they get Caton to coach them throughout the summertime, and then fall camp, they've been able to progress a lot faster. and it's starting to get to that point again, just because we're starting to get deeper and deeper into the install. But they've done a great job. They write every note you can possibly imagine. Really proud and glad of where both they are.
I don't know if this is Blake being on the mic, but I don't know, it just felt like you could hear the urgency out there today as a coach that you kind of feel that too with the season around.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You sit around and you think like, oh, we're in fall camp and we got time. And as we told the unit yesterday, like you look at the days left till we play NC State, there's a 1 in front of it. And so August 28th is coming, and now there's still a huge focus on us and us getting better each and every day. But yeah, it's hard not to know and kind of peek out the side and know, like, on the other side of next week, like, we're getting ready for NC State, splitting, going scout teams and all those type of things. So there's got to be a sense of urgency. And, it kind of happens after that first scrimmage, that first day out of practice. You kind of have a little lull. But we can't afford that right now. We got to keep the pedal down and keep getting better.
Just what have you seen from Riles and Connor in their development? Just how deep is that tight end really becoming for you guys?
Yeah, it's nice because they're just so versatile. And, for both of them now, they've been in the system for over a year. And they're getting to see all the different things we can do with them. And, this system has produced a Mackey Award winner. When Coach Kiffin was at FAU, it's had one that was a finalist at Ole Miss first year there in 20. And so if you've got guys like that, like those two are, like, they can get used in some really cool ways. And so being able to do some of that with them has been awesome. And I think those young guys have done a great job as well. Caleb Morrow coming around, he's kind of talking about breathing through a fire hose. Like, that's him right now. Miles, Stephen Collier, all those guys that are just doing a good job of just picking things up. But those older two have done a great job of just all the things we kind of put on them so far.